This episode of Finding Nemo Surf Fishing is being brought to you by Ninja Tackle. NinjaTackleVA.com is a website to go take a look at to get your hands on excellent rods, reels, rigs, bait. And if you need to get yourself into, I don't know, if you're a firearm person, they got firearm accessories. That's right. If you need some optics, yeah, hard to find parts. He's actually got them. Lots of cool stuff there on the old Ninja Tactical side. So go over to NinjaTackleVA.com. Take a look. If you got questions, reach out to Matt. He'll help you out and get your order in today. You won't be sad. Hello, happy world. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. Fishing has been phenomenal. Things are just going the right way because that is the good stuff. This week, we are taking the digital plane inland. We're going up to Minnesota. And I can never say it straight faced. Yeah, I'm a turd. I'm sorry. But yeah, we're heading up to Minnesota and we're going to be talking with a fellow Marine friend of mine about his organization, Memories Made Outdoors. He's part of this great group. Lots of cool stuff with that. So a little background before I bring him on. Ryan and I served together in the Marine Corps. We both did a lot of the same jobs. We've had some good times. And when he told me he was a part of this, I was like, well, dude, that's freshwater. I suck at freshwater. He's like, dude, shut up. Come on up here. I will put you on fish. And yet I still haven't gone yet. Keyword yet. But the organization, from the stuff that I've seen and heard from Ryan, is doing really phenomenal things and has nothing but amazing growth potential. So if this is one of those things where you're like, what am I going to learn today? You're going to learn something cool, not only about Ryan, but the organization and the mission that they're doing. So without further ado, and me flapping my jibs, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me, boss. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on and traveling all the way from Cali back up there, doing all this. You got a whole bunch of stuff going on. And dude, you've always said, like, I always thought the Minnesota thing was I don't want to say a passing thing, but you have made it sound so good over the years. You're like, dude, you got to see this place other than St. Paul, where we pulled in for deployment flights. But I mean, you've always said, come up here. It's pretty.
Yeah, you definitely got to get out of the city to really get the Minnesota experience. I brought guys up here deer hunting probably 4 or 5 years in a row now, and they're all like, pretty blown away. Is this paradise? No, I mean, to me it is, right? It's I've always preferred a little cooler climate. I'm a little fluffier than I was when I was in the Marine Corps, so cooler is better. Can't stand the heat, just can't do it. That burned me out in Iraq, or 100 and whatever, cripes. So the cooler temps definitely agree with me, and I'm here probably 6 times a year, whether it's for my farm operation. Now it'll be coinciding with the Memories Made Outdoors events, the ones that I can make. I still have my real estate business in California, and a handful of other ventures, if you will, out there. So I stay pretty busy. There's not much time to kill, that's for sure.
No. Yeah. I mean, what's time off? It's overrated.
Yeah. I mean, I never get rid of this thing. The phone's constantly on. I was moving hay bales over in my dad's field yesterday with the skid loader, and I don't know. I think I had to throttle it down and stop at least a dozen times, taking calls or whatever. But hey, it's dynamic, keeps me busy, keeps me young.
The important part right there.
Distracts me from all the injuries and the pain and the tinnitus, which my ears are ringing like hell right now. So
Dude, it's the worst because it's like one ear, and then it's just wing. You're like, oh, what the hell? And you just kind of, and then it fades off and holds, and then all of a sudden, the left side goes like, what did I do? Why? Why did this happen today?
It's just great, especially in like restaurants or crowded. I've taught myself to read lips, like I think most of us probably have. Gets a little awkward sometimes when folks don't know that your hearing is terrible and you're staring at their mouth and like, what the hell's wrong with you? Nah, I'm reading your lips. Don't just let it happen.
With the furrowed eyebrows.
Right.
Oh yeah. Well, let's start at the beginning for you here before we move into the organization, and let's talk about this because you've always been an outdoors person. You've numerous times have told me about that. Even when we were in, you were telling me about it, and you've invited me up deer hunting several times and fishing for all that. But let's go into the earlier one for you. Tell us your story and what got you into fishing.
Um, my dad took me. Well, I think I was 4 or 5 years old, and just the anticipation of, then it was the bobber, right? The bobber going down, and just being out in nature. It always agreed with me, and I just kind of kept doing it. And then I was introduced to ice fishing when I was probably 7 or 8. That's a whole different world, right? Some folks,
Yeah.
like Jason Perry, I had him up here 2020, and Jason Short as well. And Kevin Hartley was here for that too. And
Oh, geez. That's a hell of a group to get together.
Yeah. And yeah, Jason Perry, of course, lived up. We weren't on the ice 60 minutes, and he had already approached committing a felony. Like, you can't spear that fish, bro.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one species you can't. Well, one of the species you can't. It's got to be a northern. You can't spear muskies, my man. I don't care if it's 55 inches. Yeah, you can't spear it.
Oh my God, dude! Yes. Oh yeah. Yes. I can see him over the hole.
Right. It's like, no, dude, no. That's a $10,000 fine, probably some jail time, and they might even throw you out of the state. But yeah, that was it. And then, when I was old enough to, kind of be motoring around myself, me and my best friend, Dustin Carlson, is a chiropractor in the Twin Cities there. We'd go out in the pontoon fishing all night long, and it was always a blast. We never, never really got skunked or anything. Overnight fishing is really kind of a trip because you never know what you're going to catch. We were northern fishing and walleye fishing on this rock there, and I ended up catching about a 6.5 pound smallmouth bass.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, those things are like one big bicep. They fight like hell, and I thought it was a muskie, but no, there he was. Yeah, it was a good time. But yep, that's kind of my fishing deal. And I've been to Canada a couple times, which is absolutely unreal. That'll ruin you. I went to 97 to Russell Lake, Saskatchewan. Talk about sick and tired, sick to nauseum of catching 15-pound northern pike. Like, just over it. I didn't fish for a year after I came back from that trip. It was wild. And then I went again in 2018 and in Ontario and had a similar experience, but this time it was walleyes, sick and tired. One dude, we went to this rock bar. This guy, he was counting the fish. We got there about 9. By 11 a.m., he had 100 fish in the boat. Released them all.
Holy crap!
He landed 100 walleyes in 2 hours.
That's not fishing.
No, it's not. So,
wow. Okay, that would have been, yeah. That's one of those epic ones that are forever memoried. Nice.
Yeah, and I've always kind of been lucky that way too. Like that specific morning, the only reason we left was because left the spot was I hooked a 27-pound northern, lip hooked her. Thank God, because I didn't have a leader. It was just a direct tie jig head with a leech on it, and there's a video. I posted it on TikTok. It's one of my only viral videos I've posted, and it was about 12-minute fight, 15 maybe. Just exhausted. My forearms, I had, a tiny little, rod, maybe a medium flex rod, and 6-pound test, no leader, and she's just taking line, and is back and forth. And by the end of that, I was legitimately exhausted. My forearms were shot, were cramping, and then so that done that. Walleye fishing, I caught that. Hey, quit it. My mom's cat is on the couch behind me. Hey, God damn it. Stop. Caught a muskie. The biggest fish I've ever caught was probably a 52-inch muskie the day before I graduated high school. Just always kind of been lucky that way. So it's never a dull moment for sure.
Nice, dude. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. All right. So now you nailed it out. What's your favorite thing about fishing?
It's the space. It's all, it's being out in the open space. Just listening, right, to nature around you, and then obviously, getting absolutely hammered, by a fish when you're not expecting it, or the anticipation of what, the possibilities, and testing out new theories and approaches, different rigs, different setups, because fishing's changed quite a bit up here since I joined the Marine Corps in '99, and the advancements in some of the tech is just wild.
Oh yeah.
Like, I had no idea what a Talon was. It's one of those automatic, hey, Teddy, stop. I get the dog too. It's a telescoping anchor system, like just crazy. So, it's probably old tech to some guys, but just, being brought up to speed on what guys are doing and how they're doing it with the new tech and the new toys. It's just, it's an education every time.
Yeah. It seems like every week, if we really wanted to, somebody's got some new invention or new piece. There's actually one I'm going to talk to you about offline. I can't say it on the podcast yet, unfortunately, but there's something that's coming out that might get you might really love this thing. But so talking about with those, now you've nailed a lot and you've done a lot of fishing, and fresh has always been, I mean, hell, catching a monster like that, 52 and bigger, that's hard to tap. What's a bucket list fish for you one day to, like, I will catch this?
I still, the big chase up here is the kind of the trifecta is a 30-inch walleye. Is a check in the box. A 40-inch pike. I've got the 50 muskie. Probably, I'd say a great big lake trout, or maybe like a 15, maybe an 18-inch crappie. A 3-pound crappie. Those things are
a unicorn.
Pretty, yeah, they're pretty underrated for. I mean, guys fish for them, people fish for them, and they're great eating. But they're not necessarily sought after. Like largemouth bass fishing up here isn't. I mean, there's some tournaments in that, but guys don't generally. It's not like in the South where it's like, oh, we're going fishing for big hunker bass, and it's just not a thing here. Guys are going after walleyes. That's the chase, or pike, and then in the rivers, some guys are really big into sturgeon fishing. I don't have any desire to catch a dinosaur. I don't need to catch a sturgeon, right? But yeah, I'd have to say it's probably a laker. I'm still chasing the 40-inch northern. The one in Canada was 39 3/8.
Oh, rude.
And she was fat. Like, I've got pretty good sized hands. I could not pick her up from the center of her body. I couldn't get a grip on her because she was that fat, that wide. So yeah, I'd have to say probably like a 50+ pound lake trout, something like that would probably be. Well, I've never done it before, and I've seen guys, some of the videos ice fishing, and they got an ultralight little ice fishing rod, and they're fighting this absolutely behemoth of a lake trout, and they're having to drill holes next to the hole that they've got to get the bastard out of the water. So,
I will say, and this is something, because you told me this. I think we were talking about pike a while back, and you were talking about rocking in with 5-6 pound test, and I'm like, those are bigger than 5-pounders. I mean, these are honking fish.
Yeah, you don't go out there looking for them with that kind of setup. Just happens. So,
but when you told me that, it actually, you taught me a good lesson on this, and I've used it more, especially in saltwater. And other people have given me some other ones. I'm like, hey, yeah, I learned this from my buddy Ryan. Drag manipulation and patience. That you can do some stupid stuff with light line if you have the right temperament for it.
Yeah, it's so like the bait casting reels are not my favorite thing. I like the open face spinning reels. That way, that drag set is right on the end of the spool, so you can do what you got to do in a hurry. and they've just always been, I don't have the patience for the bait caster. I get one bird's nest and that thing's going in the water.
Oh yeah, we're done.
Yeah, bye-bye. So yeah, it's the drag piece is absolutely, it's hugely important, especially when you get into a situation like that. And it's stress, man. It's like I'd equate it to, and having been in both environments where, the big voice comes on and we're hauling ass to the to the bunkers and all that in Kuwait and Iraq or whatever. But that's the kind of adrenaline dump when your rod just starts singing and you're like, oh God, don't lose it, don't lose it, don't lose it.
That part right there, like, oh crap, don't
Please,
you dare get off there.
Please don't snap. Right. And I'm like, the first thing that goes through my mind is, I don't think I've changed the line on this rod or this reel in 4 years. So got that going for me. Nice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Every negative possible aspect and outcome is in your brain right there. Like, did I do? Okay. All this is going to go wrong. Cause we always think Mr. Murphy,
right?
We are just that person. It's like, yeah, this is going to end poorly.
Oh, is this the rod that I shut in the tailgate? I can't remember, Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, even here at my folks' house, there's a tiny little lake here called Fish Lake. It's only 306 acres. I was out there bobber fishing for pike. I get the biggest sucker minnows I can find, and throw them out there with a softball sized bobber. And so last year, 2 years ago, I was out and 60-pound test leader on 30-pound either Fireline. Fireline's probably my favorite fishing line, and a 60-pound leader and a giant hook and just a bare hook in this sucker minnow. And I had something on. The bobber took off underwater like it had its own propulsion system, and I set the hook. I mean, it basically set the hook itself, but I got my hands on the rod a couple of seconds before it was going over, and it pulled the clasp on the leader out of the carriage and snapped it. I've never seen that, or even I had the leader sitting around here on the patio for a long time just showing people, but I've never seen anything like that. I got to think it could have been a snapping turtle, a very large snapping turtle. I don't know of a fish that could pull that hard.
You have a Loch Ness monster in that lake.
Right. Yeah. There's supposed to be sturgeon in this lake. I've seen them on film, but that was unreal.
And that's a haunter right there. That's it. I hate the haunters.
Yeah.
I'm going to find you.
That thing's still out there.
Not good. Oh, all right. Final one in this one, because you just nailed a good one. I don't know if I know you'll have another one. Can you share any other favorite fishing stories, including an unexpected catch or challenging fishing situations?
If I was aware of what I had in the boat, I would be probably the current state record holder for Minnesota and the dogfish, or the I forget what the hell are they called. I don't know. They got a spot on their tail. There's an actual term for them. Anyways, I was pike fishing. I think it was a bobber setup, and this thing fought like hell. I thought I had the pike of the lake, right? Like, got to the boat and it was a dogfish, and I pulled it in. It was just over 11 pounds, and they're considered a trash fish here, so I just let it go. And then I was at the bait shop a couple days later, and told the guys there, I'm like, yeah, I caught this dogfish, and it was this and it was that, and they're like, what? How big was it? I told them, and they're like, pulled out their state record book. They're like, you'd be the state record holder if that was indeed true. And I was kind of mad for a sec, and then I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be the dogfish guy in Minnesota. I'm okay with this. Yeah, it's better. But the only thing I can really come up with that was unexpected.
That would have been cool, though, man. I mean, yeah. Sometimes you got to be the top dumpster fire. I mean, Perfect. Well, we've been rocking 20 minutes here. Let's go ahead and knock out our first bait check of the episode. And we'll get into talking more about memory. We'll get into memories made outdoors and all the organization piece. It is your first bait check of the episode. Hopefully, you've been catching a bunch of fish, and when you listen to this at the beach, wherever you're fishing, you got to check it. The 20 minutes is always a good time to make sure that your bait's still good, still fresh on the line, not just out there and get picked off and ripped away. This bait check is being brought to you by DS Custom Tackle. DSCustomTackle.com is a great web page to go to if you need any kind of fishing material. So, if you need to make rigs for freshwater and saltwater, floats, beads, hooks, teasers, rigs, and pieces like that. Lots of that on there. There's a bunch of gear that you can go take a look at and order. Quick shipping, great customer service. It's all covered. So dscustomtackle.com. Go take a look at that today. Get your order in. You will not be sorry, I assure you. All right, so here. Let's talk about memories made outdoors. You guys have been. The mission is friggin' phenomenal. I at first I didn't really dig into it until we talked last time, and then I looked at it before. I was like, "Oh, cool, you're doing some cool stuff with veterans." And then I was like, "Holy crap, you're doing a lot of stuff!" Like there was a lot more to it than I thought. So let's start there at the beginning. Can you provide an overview of the Memories Made Outdoors organization and its mission?
Yeah, certainly. So, what our goal, mission, and vision is to take veterans, active duty, and first responders fishing absolutely free of charge to them. And we do just about exclusively week-long trips here in Minnesota, northern Minnesota, eastern South Dakota, and then ultimately Canada as well. So we all come from other organizations that are similar to this, but we feel like we are the pinnacle and are becoming the pinnacle by keeping the quality of the trips and the experience just absolutely next level. We've had a ton of support from the folks over at Sheels, local outdoors store here in the region. Pure Fishing has supported us a great deal. And then Sunset Bay Resort in Otter Tail County has really helped us out quite a bit as well. It's a space that can quickly and easily become exploitative for monetary gain, for whether it's an individual or the organization itself. And that's been kind of the bad taste left in our mouths from other organizations where it's not so transparent. You start to wonder, what's going on? Why can't I see certain things? Why, if I keep asking for transparency and it just doesn't happen? So at the encouragement of myself and two other guys, we convinced our president, Mike Farrell, who's a professional fisherman here locally, to peel off and start our own thing, which we did in January of this year. And it just really took off between getting our apparel out. I was kind of involved with getting the hoodies and the shirts and the hats. And I am an absolute snob when it comes to these items. Like the hoodie I'm wearing right now, I have two of them. And I if I could wear nothing but these for the rest of my days, I would be just fine. And so it's really, we've got our first kind of event or meet and greet this Thursday in Hugo, Minnesota. And we were hoping when we set out to maybe get between 80 and 100 people there. I think we're probably going to be 300 to 350 people, which, yeah, right. Power of social media. I'm nervous. It's if that indeed happens, there's only 6 of us, board members, and that's a lot. That's 80 people apiece trying to kind of entertain. And it's down in the area where I grew up, so there's going to be some other folks just that I've known my entire life that are they're gonna pop in and whatnot. So it'll be a great thing. We're just this event's not an ask. Our approach is come and see what we're about. If that compels you to want to support in whatever capacity you want to, then do it. We're not door knocking or begging or anything like that. We're a show you first, ask later kind of approach. And so, we're looking. I think we have 6 trips planned this year. You can go to the website. They're on there. You can sign up directly on the website if you want to go on a trip. Memoriesmade.org. I'm sorry, memoriesmadeoutdoors.org. And it's got our panel of all of our board members, our backgrounds, and me being one of the only veterans on the board. Actually, there's another guy who's an Army cat, and then we've got one sheriff's deputy who's still active. He's on our board as well. So it's not a bunch of civilians calling the shots for our guests. It's the influence is heavy, and I have quite a bit of control over all of it. And I'm kind of the voice of reason, and I'm also the hammer for the board kind of thing.
I can see that.
But it's great. Guys really are doing, and gals are doing a great job. Mike and his fiance Allie, the president, and his fiance are. I mean, they are working tirelessly literally round the clock. He's his garage is currently full of baskets and auction items and raffle stuff. They really, they both have full-time jobs, so it's really kind of it's awesome. It's a passion. These guys are all about it. And I haven't encountered anybody that's as good of a fisherman as Mike Farrell is. He taught me a lot. I was not really a walleye fisherman up until probably 2 summers ago, and it was just crazy. Like, we were catching walleyes in places I never even would have tried. He's like, oh, we got these wakeboards out there, and we're going to spread this out, go out 117 feet, no more, no less, 117. All right, here we go. Boom. Right on top, fish after fish after fish. And, he's truly, he knows what he's doing. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. We want to do it right, do it clean, and be that shining example of what nonprofits are supposed to be, not putting somebody up on stage and leveraging that for gain in any capacity. That's what we're all about.
Good stuff, dude. What inspired the creation of Memories Made Outdoors?
Being a part of other organizations that just never really got it just right, and wanting to be, again, transparent. I think we're the only nonprofit that posts a link to our books, our P&Ls, and they're updated every quarter. And to treat the guests like, to really give them an opportunity, because it almost always happens. Every trip that I've been on, one or multiple of the guests will approach either myself, Mike, or Jay. Jay Helene is the sheriff's deputy that's on our board, and he's unique. He's built like Chris Farley and looks like him too, and wired like him. So he's big, but he's also like kind of cuddly, so people like to gravitate towards him. And so somebody always comes to one or multiple of us and is like, hey, I really needed this. I almost didn't come on this trip. I wanted to back out last minute, but my wife made me, or so-and-so, or whatever. They got over some hurdle to get to the trip, and it really gave them, that kind of that piece that they've been looking for. Because, as well as I do, I go through different periods or seasons in life where, it's just dark, and I got to let it run its course or crawl out of it somehow, and it's, we had one guest. This was when we were on a trip for a different organization, that approached Mike and told him that he had plans to take his own life and didn't, because of what he experienced on the trip. It was really hard to hear,
Oh yeah. It's always, you and I, we've got numerous connections, unfortunately, to that piece of Velcro, and we've seen it, and just getting one person to not is a win, and for someone to tell you that is it gave him that hope. That's huge. That's a massive win.
was it's a shot in the arm to keep you going for sure. After you collect yourself, that's pretty heavy to take on and absorb, and then stand up, puff your chest out, and get on it, man. So it's fulfilling in a number of different capacities. Not only the fishing itself, but also the impact we have on some folks, and it just there's nothing like it, man. It really is.
Well, good job on that, man. You guys are doing good things. So let's talk about the activities that the organization is pushing into. What type of activities or experiences are you offering and facilitating?
So each one of the trips is it's always going to be at a resort, right? Folks, guys, gals, have their own cabins, and so it's kind of an all-inclusive thing. We go out and there's a morning fish if you want to go on that, guys. You leave the docks at 6:30 or 7, come back 9:30, 10 o'clock, have some breakfast, have some lunch. The fishing kind of drops off in the middle of the day. And then we go back out for an evening fish, and then come back. We have a kind of a community dinner. We eat together. Bonfire, have maybe a couple of sodas, and some fellowship, and get to know each other, and then that'll go for 3 or 4 days, and then when we're getting ready to kind of close it up, whoever the trip sponsor was. If there was one, we have a plaque presentation the night before we leave, and kind of a thank you, and identify them, individually, and what they did for the organization, and send them home with something to hang on the wall, for their and they're if they're a trip sponsor, they're encouraged and also invited to come on the trip. A lot of guys don't, but it's it's a week-long fishing. All you got to do is get there. Everything else is taken care of. The bait, the gas, the boats, lodging, the food, everything.
Damn.
Yeah, we even get booze donations.
What? Oh no.
Yeah. Here's a cooler. It's crazy how generous folks are, and they get the reputation of the guys that are here all the time, and then also myself coming and going kind of thing. Really, we don't have to get over that hurdle of, the stink eye. Are you guys for real? Just by being a part of it, it's already, folks know, like, okay, if it's Ryan or Mike or Jay or Jason, it's this is for real. This is not, we're not playing patty cake in the sandbox. We're doing this for real, and we mean every bit of it.
That's so cool. So you talked earlier about the local community that's embracing with that. So how does the organization engage with the community and encouraging people, hey, look, come up here, take a look at this?
A lot of it's social media. Some of it's networking, existing networks from the folks that are here. Also myself. It'll really be telling how truly successful it's been by the end of our event on Thursday night. And then also we have a crappie fishing tournament on Saturday. That's our kind of our first big fundraiser. First year, this is the 6th year they've had the tournament. This time it's for us, the Memories Made Outdoors nonprofit, and it was the first year we sold out. We filled it. We had 50 boats, and I think there's probably 200 anglers that are going to be there.
Wow.
And so I think sounds like one of the news channels is going to show up, just to kind of cover it as a local piece. It's really just kind of things have fallen into place. People have heard about us through their networks, and Mike and Allie, who live here live in North Branch, just a couple of miles south of me right now. I'm currently in Harris, Minnesota. They're starting to get recognized out in town, which is super cool. So to answer your question directly and not continue beating around the bush, I don't know quite yet, but I'll have more information Thursday night.
See, I don't think people realize the fun part of what we've done in our careers where it's like, look, I can talk to this. And there's other pieces too, but I'll get you more later. Don't worry. That was such a good answer. I loved that. You mentioned one, and the guy that talked about how it was so important and it helped him, saved his life in that one. Can you add into that? Can you share any other success stories or memorable moments from participants who've been involved with Memories Made Outdoors? Yeah, kind of stole the thunder. You kind of launched a monster there with that one. It's kind of hard to top it or line with that.
Yeah, I should have reviewed the questions prior a little better. So
overrated.
I would say, we don't inject religion or faith into it at all. But without exception, just about every trip, it happens, right? Some guy, one dude will be down by the lake and just kind of having a prayer session or whatever, and then it will grow, right? And then it'll turn into, like, remember boot camp, we had evening devotion, right? It's almost turns into something like that, and it's not pushed. We don't bring it up. We don't set it up or anything like that. It just kind of happens. And for a consistently different group of people every time, for that to materialize on its own, I think is unique and worth mentioning. Because there's a pretty strong connection between nature and the Lord and that, and so I would say that would be the other the other thing that is interesting and compelling to watch or to witness, I should say.
Nice. Very, very nice. You know what? We're going to do another bait check because it's a perfect time for us moving this, because we're going into impact and some other growth here. So let's knock out another bait check and we'll continue on. This bait check is brought to you by the Kids Can Fish Foundation. Help these kids go fishing, man. It's good stuff. You saw them come through the Panhandle recently. We had a great gathering in Pensacola where we had 33 kids come out and get a rod and reel free. They got to hang out with the coaches to learn how to do surf fishing. All of that got put together by Kids Can Fish, and it was all brought in for free for them via your donations, your growth. You're the ones that make that happen. So kidscanfish.net, great webpage. Go take a look at. They've also got their big redfish tournament out of St. Simons Island, Georgia, coming up this year. That's another way you can support in that. And if you're into cast net or looking for a cast net, you can get the Promar Ahi one, which proceeds for that. Some of them go back to Kids Can Fish. So take a look at that. See all the cool things they're doing. Kids Can Fish. Great job doing good things. So now that we've talked about impact, let's or what it's done for success. Let's talk about impact, because you and I've seen how many guys comes to, hey, veterans, hey, first responders, do this, hey, this is free for you. A lot of times we're like, hold on, who are you? Where'd you come from? What are you doing? We don't really believe the pudding until we have somebody laterally connected to it, vouch for it, or we've been into it. That. So how does the organization measure its impact on individuals and the
community? Great question. We try to get feedback in terms of shooting a short video feedback from the guests that have been on the trips. We've only had one trip to date. It was ice fishing up in northern Minnesota, and I don't know that those are out of editing yet. We've kind of shifted we're doing all this kind of on our own and learning things. Our budget is robust for how long we've been a thing, but we're still doing a lot of footwork and kind of the back office tasks ourselves. So we transitioned a lot of our attention starting in the beginning of March to the two events. Pardon me, the two events we've got coming up this week. So it's early. that's about as good as I can say. We'll have quite a bit more feedback and more data points at the end of this week.
Yeah, especially with that tournament, dude. I mean, that's to get growth enough that an organization is willing to sponsor a tournament in your name to grow into that one. That's huge. That's not a, oh, cool, whoever you are. No, that's legwork,
Yeah.
and you guys have done that. So that you got a lot, and then you've got this, like you said, this event, and then that. Yeah, I think after those, you're going to be super stacked. I
We'll
don't know
see.
how you're going to do it. It's
I
so
don't either.
much.
It's like everything else in my life. It's just by the seat of my pants. Here we fucking go. Just do it.
It's kind of how it weirdly ends up successful with that.
Break some shit while we're doing it, but ultimately get the mission accomplished, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I'll know. So what are some of the main challenges the organization has faced in promoting outdoor experiences, and how have you guys overcome it?
Running through walls, man. Just doing it. I mean, that's I know that's generic and kind of a cop out, but that's just do it, right? Find a way around it, find a way over it, or find a way through it, and it all just kind of seems to work out. It's like I said, it's only been 4 months. We haven't really had a ton of issues. We're pretty selective about who goes on the trips. I mean, you have to prove that you're indeed a veteran. And with the DD 214, we don't filter out by discharge, whether it's a negative type of discharge from armed services or a positive one. But there are a couple of resorts that have money that they get through grants, specifically Veterens on the Lake in Ely, Minnesota. We've got a trip with them coming up, and in order for the veteran to be able to go, they have to prove that they've deployed. So their DD 214 has, in the bottom right corner, whatever the designator in, has to be a 2 or higher for them to be able to go on that trip.
Okay.
I take that back. They can still go, but if they have that type of discharge on their DD 214, the grant money from Veterans on the Lake covers their trip.
Okay.
Whereas it wouldn't come out of our budget. So it gives us an opportunity to take more people, and at that point the issue becomes boats and guides, because we shoot for a 1v1 kind of experience, one veteran, one guide. It's not easy. So we end up, and if we have, like, for instance, when Kevin and I will go on a trip, him and I will be in the same boat because we've known each other for 20 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if there's another within the group, if there's guys that are already friends or become friendly, they want to fish together, then we double them up, kind of thing. So, but we're trying to deliver the best and highest level experience we possibly can.
Excellent. Very nice. Are there any specific initiatives or programs that the organization is really proud of right now?
Filling up the tournament was big. We're working on getting one of our guys to become our grant writer. The grant money out there is significant. The successes have all been pretty small so far. But I think we got really big things coming. Our goal is to eventually build to an annual budget of around $1 million and have 2 or 3 guys that are full time. That's all they do, is work as Memories Made Outdoors representatives. And not an exorbitant salary by any stretch of the imagination. We're thinking somewhere between $60,000 and $80,000 a year as a salary. I've got a pension and disability in that for military service. I've got side gigs and all that. I don't need much. Mike is probably going to be the first one that goes full time, just because he's kind of the guy, and the rest of us support him. But that's kind of where we're headed. But again, it's a little early to have any real big wins just yet. But the sun's just rising on this thing for us, and we should do a follow up. We should do a follow up in 6 months, see what's going on.
Hell yeah, dude. Anything.
A little more data, I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely do another one. I mean, especially, you've got the summer run for you guys, which is going to be an interesting, and then basically what you fall, always great fall, but your winter comes early because you have real winter. So you'll have plenty more to throw into that. But yeah, we'll definitely do another one.
Yeah.
What partnerships or collaborations has the organization formed to further its mission?
As I mentioned, the folks over at Sheels Outdoors have helped us out quite a bit. Fleet Farm, local. Fleet Farm's kind of like a redneck Target is kind of how I describe it. Every time the guys come up here, Kevin or whoever, we got to go to Fleet Farm, right? Because if you need a lobster tail, a 2x4, and a gerbil, that's your place.
Yes, love those places, dude.
It's like Meyer in Michigan, right?
Yeah,
the greatest store ever. Some of the local fishing and hunting stores have really stepped out. I know Mike's employer, EPS, they're an local electrician outfit. They've been behind us incredibly. Let's see. We're working on taking. I can't really talk about this yet, but there is a high-level tournament that has kind of been left to that. They stopped doing it a couple of years ago, and it sounds like we're going to pick that up. And if we do, and if we can get the permit from the county for that event, you're talking about 5,000 people.
Oh dear God, that's a lot of bodies.
Right, and it's also a crappie tournament, but the big prize, I think, is, I don't remember what it is. It's money, and it's a lot of money. I think it's low 5 figures, I think. And it's unique because only one person knows what the number is in the envelope, and the number in the envelope is some random weight, right? It could be like 9.6 ounces, or 1 pound, 1 ounce, 1 pound, 1.17 pounds. Whoever comes up with, it brings a fish in that weighs exactly that, the first one, they get the money. It's not the biggest fish, it's not the smallest fish, it's the random envelope number, right? Like, so if your fish is that weight, boom, like here's, and like the last person to win was like a 4-year-old girl.
Ah, nice.
So
it's going to your 401k, honey. You'll thank me later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That just totally derailed my whole thing when you said it was a 4-year-old kid. I'm like, well, damn it. That's a nice hookup.
Yeah, you got guys out there just decked head to toe in all this heavy duty or this expensive gear and all these bells and whistles, and the 4-year-old girl with the Snoopy pull comes strolling in and takes the prize. Awesome.
Oh, I caught a fish. You're sold forever, kid. Welcome to it. So we've talked about goals with the organization. Let's nail that one down a little bit further. So what are some long-term goals and the vision for Memories Made Outdoors?
It would be to grow to that level of budget and be able to have like a full-time staff and ultimately doing 24 trips a year round.
Nice.
The ice fishing is awesome. That I got to have you up here for that. It blows.
I'm fluffy, dude, but don't put me on the ice, God.
Oh, well, we got ice castles, man. Google ice castle.
I've seen those. Those are friggin' beautiful.
Right? Sit by the fireplace, watch TV, and jig right through the. Come on, Teddy. Right through the floor of the place. While you're watching, while you're watching the Bucks take on New England or whatever. And it's you're definitely cozy.
Yeah, I do need to come up for that. I mean, you've invited me up so many times, and it's always been. I don't want to say life, but life gets in the way, and then all the other stuff. And it's like, it's the personal one too and I'll admit this because we've been friends for years, and it still falls into that memory of, I know that I can go up and hang out with my buddies, you and Kevin and all that, but it's also that, well, you guys also have, your friend time, and it's the organization piece. It's always that, dude, you're good. Take them. It's always that. And I think a lot of veterans too, you're going to run into this. Obviously, you probably already seen it when it comes to, hey, veterans, come on out for this. Like, oh, somebody else is more deserving. It's like, you are deserving. You
100%.
you 100% have done your time. You earned that. You sleep under the blanket of your DD 214 comfortably at night. You rate. Go
100%.
enjoy this.
That going back to challenge, that would be one of them, is getting guys not only to commit, but to ultimately show up, because they're like, oh, they'll cancel last minute because they're like, somebody else is more deserving. We've actually adopted a kind of a policy where it's $100 deposit. And that's part of that is if it's a a trip to Canada, that deposit goes towards your fishing license in Canada, because I think the non-resident fishing license is like $98.50 once you convert the currency. So it's kind of double taps that requirement. But yeah, it's getting guys to come on the trips is sometimes tough. We're hey, let go. Scrambling last minute to fill a cancellation where we're even the spot goes unfilled, which is no good. We don't it's we need guys there, guys and gals, of course. Yeah, so that's a tough one, because it's I did that when I was first invited on a trip 4 or 5 years ago. I almost canceled last minute because I'm like, somebody else is more deserving. And it took Mike to tell me. He's like, no, you're going. Okay. Mike's a big guy. Mike's bigger than I am.
It's hard. That's scary. Then you're
you're
not a short, stocky dude. You're tall, and
he's 6'2", every bit of 310, and he's got some mitts on him too. His hands are bigger than mine. So.
That's been one of the ones. I know we're a little tangent here, but that's been the one thing I've noticed. We've got a lot of cool veteran stuff down here. I mean, hell, I got 4 bases around me. Right. And there are so many ones that they'll do, and this guy's like, oh, well, I don't deserve it. It's like, dude, go. If you don't, somebody else is going to say the exact same words. Somebody else more deserving. Somebody else is more deserving. And that spot's going to go open, and that whole thing is going to be a waste. And it's okay to go to these. Yeah. I mean, if you go, you go. Great. But if you say you're going to go, you friggin' show up. You're going.
Yeah.
Okay, last 2 questions in this, and then we can move on to the fun stuff and get you out of here for the day finally. How can individuals or groups get involved with and support the organization's work?
You go to our website, memoriesmadeoutdoors.org. All of our apparel is for sale there. You can make direct donations. You can sign up for trips. You can sign up to volunteer to go on a trip as a guest guide, or even just kind of helping out and just being around. Come to our events if you're local. Otherwise, just you can donate directly to the website, or we're going to have. Sounds like we're going to put a golf tournament together for probably 25. That's going to be my problem, or my task, I should say, because I'm the only guy. I think I'm the only guy on the board who does play. And so, yeah, it's, and just help spread the word, even if you don't have the means to buy a shirt or a hat or give a donation, if you believe in us and what we're doing, maybe tell somebody about it who does have the capacity to support. And, word of mouth is huge, right? Reputations are hugely important to us. And continuing to be that sterling example of what nonprofits should be versus what some of them are.
Good deal, dude. You're still one of the only friends of mine that I know that has routinely destroyed their drivers on driving.
I'm getting a little older, a little fatter, and a little slower, so I'm not as hard on equipment anymore. I haven't broken a driver's 2019, I think, was the last time I did.
Still. I remember the first time you told me you blew a driver up. I'm like, what did you do? Get mad? And no, I just swung it. How does one kill a driver?
Uh,
You
well,
were,
generally, it's probably in that case that I think the one you're talking about where the head came flying off.
yeah. And I was like, how did you do that?
The the hosel was already cracked at some point, and that swing was just whatever it was just the last bit of whatever tensile or whatever strength that or structural integrity that thing had. The last one was an R15 TaylorMade driver. I unintentionally buried that thing 2 inches in the dirt, and it snapped just below where my hands were on the grip. But that was probably already compromised to start with because that's power. I'm not that strong. That's ridiculous. But
Still fun.
yeah, I've got a number of putters that have been buried at sea all over San Diego County as well.
Rightly so, though.
Get a little upset and bye bye.
Yep. And you play some nice courses out there too. I know you do.
I do.
All right. Last question in this category, and we'll get to the closing questions here. Can you share any other upcoming projects? You've got the tournament, you've got these other ones further on that, say, for the winter or anything that you're working on and you're excited about?
Sounds like what we never thought possible would be a hunting trip. Just because we thought of the insurance piece wouldn't be even available. But and by hunting, I should clarify it would be ducks or pheasants, birds. We're not slinging 30-06 rounds downrange, where somebody could really get hurt. Birdshot will kill you faster than anything, but it's you got a half a shot or half a chance of surviving that if there is indeed an accident. But so it sounds like we might be entering into that opportunity, but we've got to navigate that carefully because the last thing we need or want is a Chris Kyle type of incident. And so we've got to kind of figure out how to vet the potential guests for something like that without tripping into the HIPAA kind of territory, right? So we're working on that, and we don't know yet, but it sounds like we can at least get insurance, but there's going to be some extra steps towards screening potential guests for being able to take advantage of an event like that. So that's on the horizon.
Good deal. All right. Well, it's been about 60 minutes, and we're going to move into the closing questions here. Let's knock out one last final bait check. This is your third and final bait check, and hopefully you caught a bunch of fish while you were listening to this episode, and you've been just having a great day. You're back in the car, you're heading home to cook it all up. This final bait check is being brought to you by The Sinker Guy. Go over to thesinkerguy.com, take a look at everything that Chip's got going on in the Sinker Guy garage. Need Sputniks? Hey, yeah, he's got you covered. It's in his name. He's got plenty of great rigs. The Bruno rig, the Uno rig, the fishing mortician rig, that's all in there. If you need ancillary tools, scissors, pliers, lots of gear, he's got you there. It's all on the website, thesinkerguy.com. Go take a look at it. Great customer service. He's very responsive if you have messages, and he's always willing to teach. So lots of good things on there. Thesinkerguy.com. Go take a look. Get your order in today. All right. So the last one's here. So are there any fellow anglers, mentors, authors, individuals who inspired your journey and deserve a shout out? We haven't talked about that.
Oh, definitely. Locally, it's got to be Babe Winkleman and the Linder brothers. They're when I was a kid, each of them Babe Winkleman had his own show Saturday mornings, and it was always awesome to watch him. And I learned a number of things. His wife would come on and do a cooking portion, a segment of the show, and then Al Linder, I forget his brother's name, but both of those guys had a show in a magazine called The In Fisherman, which was also a Saturday morning type event. Just kind of your local rock star fisherman guys. And if you're born, I don't know, in the mid to late 70s, early 80s, and lived up here, you definitely know who those three people are.
Very cool. I love that you brought up the old stuff when we were kids, dude. The old Saturday morning things.
Hell yeah, man. It was like, get up in the morning, get your Kicks or your Lucky Charms or whatever, fire up the TV, and there's Babe Winkleman, landing landing of 28-inch walleye and gale force winds out on Lake Mille Lacs or Mille Lacs Lake or Lake of the Woods or something like that. And then the Linder brothers, like those guys are cowboys, man. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall at happy hour when those guys were getting after it.
They know more than, or they've forgotten more than we know, essentially, is how that one plays into, I'm sure.
For sure, dude.
Listeners, for us, you've mentioned the website before, but let's bring it back up again. Where can listeners go to find out more about what you're doing, the organization's doing, stay up to date on how the organization is, and order apparel and stuff to support the organization?
Sure. So our website is memoriesmadeoutdoors.org. You can buy any of our equipment, like the hoodie I'm wearing right now. The beanies are super high quality. I have my own little personal touch on those. Everything is either like the white stuff is red, white, and blue. Very patriotic. Otherwise, we're also on Facebook, Memories Made Outdoors. I think we're on TikTok, but nobody's really running that channel just yet. And I believe we're on Instagram as well. So at Memories Made Outdoors, I believe, is our handle there. So there'll be quite a bit of we'll be dumping quite a bit of stuff on social media the next 4 or 5 days with everything we've got going on. And hit us up, follow us, even interact. You can chat with us right on the Facebook page. I'm an admin, Mike's an admin, and I typically answer, within a few minutes, assuming I'm not operating some large piece of machinery.
And all these links will be back on the Finding Demo Surf Fishing page, on this episode, wherever you found it. It'll be all through the social media, so you'll be able to find it through here and listening. You can go back and take a look at that. All right, last question, man. We'll get you out of here. What's next for you?
Good question, man. Probably finish out the year here. Finish out the 24 and into 25. I got my wife and kid are going to move back up here permanently next summer. I'll be splitting time because of my real estate business in Southern California. I can't walk away from that. That would be dumb for now. I like to transition. I'm also becoming licensed in Minnesota here in June. And also I'll be splitting time between California and here, kind of backwards from traditional thinking or traditional practices, where I'll be in California like February to October, and then October to February I'll be up here. Like I said, I'm fluffy. I like the cold, and so the winter, the late fall and the winter, early winter is absolutely something to behold in this region of the country. You just, there's nothing like it.
No, I can imagine. Eventually, I'll have to see it because, yes, I will have to go ice fishing with you and come up there and hang out. Well, Ryan, dude, thank you so much for coming on, talking to us today with Memories Made Outdoors, all the pieces for that, telling us your story. And I'm just happy to talk to you, dude, on here. I mean, we talk through texting all the time, but talking through here, I'm glad we got to do it.
Yeah, buddy, really appreciate you having me on. It means a lot.
No problem. All right, yes, we will do a follow-up in a few months, and we'll talk through text. We'll get it all lined up. And all right, man, I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, brother.
All right, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Memories Made Outdoors. We've had a great time having the conversation with them. Lots of good pieces put together with that. You can go take a look. Like he said, memoriesmadeoutdoors.org. Lots of good stuff on the site there with those. And all the links will be back on findingdemosurffishing.com. All that stuff will be on there. Thanks so much. You've been listening to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. Always good to see you. We'll see you next week. Take good care of yourselves. I'm out of here.